Okay, welcome to the ARAS 360 weekly webinar. My name is Mike Greenfield. I'll be your host. Today's webinar is going to be about crime scene diagramming. So we're going to do a crime scene from start to finish here, utilizing measurement logs, Google Earth, symbols, and we're even going to print out the diagram and put an emblem in your a logo in the printed format for the measurement log and for the diagram. This will probably take 20 or 30 minutes, and at the end of that time I can take questions regarding this webinar. So during this time you can type your questions in as we go along, or you can wait till the end, however you like to do it. So I'm going to start right now by opening up my program and getting into a top-down 2D mode. The crime scene we're going to do today is going to be a police-involved shooting. 2 officers involved, 1 suspect, and it's near a warehouse. So what I'm going to do is go to Google Earth and bring up that location so that we can trace it with our Google Earth. So it's right here at this building. If you can see on the corner here, I'm going to go ahead and place that right there. Remove the marker, and I'm going to click OK. Now we have the scene out there. Now the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to trace this because I may not want to use the picture for my final diagram. One of the things that that occurs when you bring in a Google Earth photo from our integration with ARAS is the photo will come into the program to scale. So you don't have to rescale it. Everything's going to be to scale. Google Earth takes care of that for us. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start drawing this, tracing this scene here, and I'm just going to get down here and I'm going to trace around the corner here. This is not an exact arc on this corner, but it is on some of the others. We'll go like this, and then we're going to go up to there. So that's one good thing about the pictures. You're going to get exactly what you see. And what better item to trace than the actual photo itself? So I'm going to get the streets done here first, because they're going to be the easiest thing to do. And I'll start right here, and you can actually see where the curb gutter is. And I'm just going to go right around. And I'm using a poly curve here. You could use poly curve, you can use straight lines and arcs, whichever works better for you. I think the poly curve is doing fine for me right here. I don't have a whole lot to do here as far as lines go. And I'm just putting the intersection in here because it's a good reference point for where this building is. This building is where the shooting took place. I'm going to use Structure Genius to trace the building, and that's located right here. And I'm simply going to trace the building, and I'm just going to trace the top part of the building right here. So we'll get the right size. And once I've got it in, I can actually zoom in closer. I can tweak it so it gets right on where I want it to be. And notice the dimensions are going to show up. Everything's going to be good. Now this is another little building that's next to it. And it's also a small little building. It's part of this one. And I'm just going to trace that as well, because this has something to do with it too. And I might just go all the way around. So there's that, and I'll zoom in so that I get exactly where I want it to be. And we'll bring this one exactly. So even after the fact, you can move these around to get them exactly how you want them. So that's going to be our building right there. I'm going to do some road lines. There's a few little road lines because they're going to have something to do with this as well. Especially when you take your photos, you're going to see the road lines in the photos, so you might as well see them in your diagram. And I'm going to get everything that I can trace first. This is going to be a dashed line. I believe They're 15 and 25 and 0.5. And I'm going to duplicate this because we've got two more right here as well. So I can really get this drawing done in a matter of just a few minutes. Looks like there's some kind of a bike line or something that goes through here. There we go. Bike path, bike route. Okay, so that looks like we're pretty good. We've got the building. I'm also going to do the sidewalks as well, because the sidewalks, they're going to show up in your photos. So I'm going to trace where they are. And I'm just using a polyline so we can see where the sidewalks are, where the grass part of the sidewalk is. And we've got something here. Little grass section here. And there's another one right here. Okay, and we'll get the other side of the sidewalk. Looks like it comes in here and it goes up and stops. Yes. Looks like there's a little one right here. And looks like there's another little one right here. And there's another one right here. It looks like this one kind of goes off like that. Actually, I think it goes this way. There we go. So we'll just go that far. It's good enough. All right. So what's good about this is when I turn off the Google Map, everything that I've drawn is going to stay behind. And when I print that, it's going to have a nice printed view of what I want. Now notice that there's dimension lines on this building. If you don't want to see those dimension lines, to turn those off, notice you don't see them here unless I select them. Then I see them. But if I deselect them, they're gone. But when I print them, they show up. Well, we can fix that. Let me X out of this. What you have to do is click on the actual building itself, and over on the left property line where it says dimension lines, open that up, and where it says print lines, just uncheck the box. And I'm probably going to need the same thing to do here. Click on that, dimension lines, uncheck the box. So now we won't print. We'll only print them. Actually, if I do that, let me see if that will do it. So I believe you have to check the box if you want them printed. So we don't want them printed, so we're going to uncheck the box. All right. So now let me turn back on to Google Earth. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my layer manager. I'm going to lock Google Earth. I'm going to do a Control A, which is going to select everything that I've drawn in my diagram. Then I'm going to right click, change layer. And I'm going to call this lines. That way, if I want to, I can go into Layer Manager, I can turn off all the lines, or I can turn them all on and turn off the Google Map. So I have a choice. I can go either way. All right, so now we've got some measurements that we want to put in. Now these measurements are going to be measurements that were taken at the scene where there's evidence. And they can be taken with a total station, they can be taken by hand, they can be taken with baseline coordinate hand inputted measurements, or triangulation hand inputted measurements. In this case, I'm going to use the coordinate method, and I'm going to go and get a measurement log. There's my measurement log. I think I'm going to size the baselines to 20 feet each, and I'm going to go place this where all measurements were taken, from the northeast corner of the intersection. That intersection happens to be Adams Street and 8th Avenue. So right here is going to be our reference point. That's going to be the center of our universe. That's going to be 0, 0, 0. So every measurement will be from this position. So the first measurement I'm going to put in is a shell casing that was left by the suspect. Suspect fired one round at responding officers. What this was a burglary in progress call, and at this warehouse building. And when the officers arrived, two officers arrived, one parked right in here so he can see along this side and the front, and another one parked back here so that he can see this way and that way, to secure the scene until further responding officers arrived. And that's typical. You're going to surround the place first before you go inside and see what's up. So when the first officers, they both arrived at about the same time, and then the suspect came out the building and immediately engaged the officers, fired a round at the officer that was over here, and the officer returned fire, missed him, and the guy ran around and got over here. Of course, the officer is parked here. Here's the rounds fired by the officer and the round fired by the suspect, so he's ready for him. And as soon as the suspect gets right here, he points his gun at this officer, and this officer fires a couple more rounds and gets him. So this is what we've got. When the investigators get there, they measure all the evidence, and there wasn't a lot of evidence. There was the shell casings fired by the officers, the shell casing fired by the suspect, where the suspect finally went down. He dropped his gun right there where he went down, so we have the suspect's gun to measure, and we have the location of the two police vehicles. So not a lot of measurements, which is typical for this type of deal. You're not going to measure everything. We don't need to measure where the edges are and where the building is, because we can trace that in, which is what I already did. So I've got my reference point right here. I'm going to start typing in my measurements down here. So the first measurement is going to be 13.8 feet north, and it's going to be 46.6 feet east. And the description is going to be, this is going to be one of the shell casings. So rather than give it a number, I'm just going to say what it is. It's shell casing 1, and it's by the suspect. And I'm just going to type that in so we have it there. And it's going to put the point in there for me. Okay? It's 13 feet north and 46 feet. Let's see here. 13.7. You know what? And I got to tell you that this is the wrong reference point. No, this is correct. This is correct. Right there. So there's a round right there. This is where the suspect's round was. Let me make sure I have this exactly right on there. Okay. And I'll turn on descriptions so you can see what I'm printing in here. Now, the next measurement is going to be, these are shell casing 2, 3, and 4 are all by the first responding officer. And this is where these shell casings landed. Okay, so the next one is 6.0 feet north and 131 feet, 0.6 east. And description here will be SC2, and it's by Officer 1. So we know where it is, and that's where the shell casing landed, in the grass over here. The next shell casing, this will be the fourth item measured. It's going to be 2.4 feet north and 130.6 feet east, and it's going to be SC3 by Officer 1. So again, the second round fired by the first officer. The next one is going to be 2.2 feet north and 132.5 feet east. And this will be SC4, the fourth shell casing, by Officer 1. All three of those rounds did not strike the suspect. Okay? And I don't believe these rounds were recovered, if I can remember correctly. They went way back over here somewhere, and they never were recovered. So the officer fired down the street, and this is just a kind of a vacant lot over here. So those rounds, the rounds actually were not recovered. The next, otherwise we'd be measuring where those rounds were. The next measurement is going to be the first shell casing fired by the second officer. And that's going to be 155.4 feet north, 12.5 feet east, and this is going to be SC5 by Officer 2. So you can see this round is way up here because this is where the officer was parked. The next round, next measurement, is going to be 156.4 north, 13.8 east, and this is going to be SC6 by Officer 2. And there's another round that's also fired by that second officer. It's going to be 159.5 feet north and 12.2 feet east. And it's SC7 by Officer 2. So we've got quite a few rounds here. Now, the next measurement's going to be where the suspect's gun was found. This is going to be 84.2 north and 28.1 east, and this is going to be suspect's gun. The next measurement will be where the suspect was. In this case, this measurement, there's one measurement. It's just where there was some blood on the street, because by the time the detectives got out there, the suspect had been removed from the scene because he wasn't dead, and they took him to the hospital. So all we had to measure there was where he landed, which is a pile of blood, pool of blood. So they measured right where the blood was, and it was located at 79.9 feet north and 19.1 foot east, and this is where the suspect was. And now we have the location of the two police cars. The first police car was located 6.7 feet south and 129.1 feet east. And this is Vehicle 1. I'm just going to call it Vehicle 1. And it's going to be right front wheel. So we're going to locate where that is. Let me knock this out of here. Here we go. All right, and the other measurement for that car is 7.6 feet south and 0.4 east, and it's going to be right rear wheel. And the last two measurements are going to be the other police car. It's going to be located 150.1 north and 3.1 east. And it's going to be Vehicle 2, left front wheel. And the last measurement is going to be 158.7 north, and it's going to be 1.6 feet, I'm sorry, minus 1.6 west. And it's going to be vehicle 2, left rear wheel. Okay, so there's all of our measurements. They're all in. So now I'm going to go start putting symbols where all these items are. So let me go get a police car first. I think I can probably get that taken care of right off the bat. So we'll go into the model library, and I'm going to go choose a police car, and I'm just going to choose this black and white one here. And it was in here like this, right rear, right front. So I'm going to go and put this like this. Whoops, you know what I did? I put an animation path there. Let's go get just one car. There we go. And we can put it right where this car ended up, right front wheel and right rear wheel. So that's where that police car ends up. Okay? And what this officer does is he gets out of the car when he confronts this guy. First of all, the suspect comes out and fires and hits the police car right when the officer is getting out. Luckily, the officer didn't get shot. He runs around the front of his car, and this is where he fires. That's where his shell casings land. And the suspect's shell casing land right there. Now we've got the other vehicle. I'm just going to copy this one. And it comes in over here. And we have the left tires that we measured here, the left wheels. So this is where this other vehicle lands or stops and takes his position. And the officer gets out, and he's right behind his door. And this is where his shell casings land over here. And the suspect's gun is right here. And we can go into the model library and get a gun. And we can put the gun right on the measurement. The suspect's blood was right there. We don't have a suspect, so we just have blood is what we measured. So we can go get a pool of blood and just put it right there, indicating where the suspect landed, where he ended up. Now, we can also get evidence markers. You can go put the evidence markers out there if you like. If the evidence markers had numbers, you can go in and actually get a specific evidence marker. So I'm going to go put an evidence marker right there. And that's going to be the suspect's gun, and I think that was point number 9. So I'm just going to make this evidence marker 9. Down here, we had the rounds by the officer. Now see, we've got a lot of overlay of the text here. So if you want, you could actually go into the measurements, and I'm going to knock the point size down. I might even knock it down more. So now you can actually see what these are. I knocked it down to 0.5, so I knocked it down pretty good. So now I'm going to go get another evidence marker. And shell casing number 1, I'm sorry, shell casing number 2 by the first officer. I'm going to put the evidence marker right there. And on my measurement sheet, it was 0.3. So let's just make that evidence marker 3. And this is going to be dependent on how you do this in the scene, depending on, you just, list your numbers, or you can spell them out here, whatever you want to do. I'm going to go get another evidence marker, and I'm going to put it right here. This will be 0.4. And then I'm going to go get another evidence marker, and it's going to be right here, and this will be 0.5. All right, now let me put this car right where I want it here. Car's not exactly where it needs to be. I could put it right here. That should do it right there. All right, now we've got some more evidence markers that need to go up here for this this one. Okay, so for the second officer, his first round is going to be number 6. Which is right here. That's going to be 0.6. And then the next one will be 0.7 and 0.8. Just one number off of what they really were. And one more. Okay, so there's pretty much all the evidence that we measured. These were evidence markers. That's an evidence marker. We can put one for the blood if we like. I'm not going to worry about the blood. We know where that is. Oh, we have one right here. Suspect by the suspect. Let's go get one more. And I think that's going to be almost the first one. Yeah, that's going to be 0.2. Because point number 1 is actually our baseline. So there's our scene. There's a crime scene right there, measured and drawn and ready to go. So if I print this, oh yeah, let's put some text in here. Let's put the street name. Let's go to draw. Let's go to text. Let's go ahead and put the text right here. Let's unstretch it. And we're going to call this Adams. Adams Street. It's going to come in fairly big. Let's knock that size down, and let's lock the scale up. Okay, so there's Adams Street, and this other street is going to be 8th Avenue. So I'm just going to go on 8th Avenue right here on the street. Oops, make sure we turn the stretch text off. And it's going to be 8th Avenue. Okay, knock that size down a little bit, and let's sharpen it up. So this is 8th Avenue. And I might even put this name of the street actually in the road. Now we've got a couple of paintings in the road here. This is a cool little feature here. That's the word only because it's apparently a left turn lane. If I adjust this text to fit right over there, type in the word only, and then I can zoom in on this, and I can actually stretch this thing to fit using these stretch marks, these stretch grips here. So there's our word only. And then we have some models of the road markings. So I'll put the road marking in there. Size it using the grips, and color it. Because I ultimately want this on white paper, I'm going to make it black. The next one's going to be this one right here. And let's size this one a little bit and make it black. Okay, so there's our diagram. So if I'm going to save this now. We're going to go save as. I'm going to call it crime scene. And I may already have one, but we'll just, okay, crime scene, there it is. All right, so now I want to print it. So I go to my print button, I click the print diagram, and you're going to see I can print it with the picture if I want. Okay, I can print it that way, or I can turn off my Google Map and I can print it this way, which this might be the way you might want it. I can also add a template. I'm going to add a professional template. I'm going to put in here whatever my city is. In this case, it was Phoenix. And if I want to put the Phoenix patch here, here's what I have to do. And you only need to do this once. Let me save this. I'm going to go into Preferences. I'm going to go to Printing. There's the logo I had in there. I'm going to go ahead and browse my computer, put the Phoenix PD patch there. open it up. There it is. Let me get rid of this name here. And then hit OK. Now it's going to tell me that for this to take effect, I've got to close the program and restart it. So that's not a problem. I've already saved it. I'm going to go close it. Got this here. Let's reopen it. And I'll open my crime scene one that I just had. There it is. Now when I print it, I can go in and use the professional template. There's my emblem or logo, whatever I want up there. I can go in here and change all of this. And I type my name, whatever information I need in here, I can complete it. So that's a crime scene diagram, start to finish, of a police shooting in a location, ready to go. Now there's a couple other things I should have put on here, and one of the things I should have put, and I can put them right now because I just forgot them, is a north arrow. We can put the north arrow somewhere, and we'll make it a little bigger than it came out. There we go. And I want some kind of a scale bar here. So I'm going to go get that too, and maybe I'll put that right there. I don't need to show 100 feet. I'd like to show probably about 40. There we go. And I might put it right under there, just like that. So now when I print this, and I might uncheck the box, I'm going to make this 1 inch equals 40 feet. There it goes. And then go and use my my Phoenix template. I saved one already. So there's a Phoenix template. And there would be your nice finished diagram. So what I'm going to do now is, and there's something else I want to show you too. Something else. Let's turn back on the Google Map and let's go into 3D. Now notice I've got a 3D building. Now this building here, I'd like to put a picture of that. Let's say we want to use the 3D, we want a 3D scene too. So if I stood right here and took photos of the building, I can put those photos on the building. Now I haven't been to Phoenix in a while. I don't have photos of this building, but I could get them real quick. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to just do just that so you can see. I'm going to go into the Google Earth, real Google Earth, I mean their actual website, and I'm going to go snag photos from the street view. So let me go in and type, this is really nice, Phoenix AZ. Let me go in and snag a couple of photos right off the internet from this, what that building looks like. All right, so you got to know where it is, first of all. Pretty easy to find. It's right here. There it is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom all the way in until I get to a street view. And it should pop into a street view. There it goes. Okay, so this warehouse is also called Dunbar Spring. So I'm going to get to where I can snag that picture. So there's a picture of the building here. That's what I want right there. So if I go in and get my snipping tool, create a new snip, and I'm going to snip this out here. I just want that as my wall. So there's my building. So now I will file, save as, put it on my desktop. I'm going to call it Wall 1. And that wall looks to be pretty high. I'll bet it's 22, 23 feet high. All right, so now we're going to go down the road a little bit, and I'm going to do the same thing with this little brick house here. I'll go get my snipping tool, and every computer has the snipping tool. It's in your accessories on the older operating systems. I'm going to go and get this one right there. This is going to be wall 2. Now, this is something that you don't have to do if you were at the scene and you had a camera. You can just take the pictures and then snip the pictures when you got them into your computer. I can actually go down the street and get the side one and the other side one too. I'm just going to do these front ones though for this, because we're more than halfway through the webinar now. So now I'm going to go in. This side of the building, I believe, was about 22 feet tall. So we're going to make the height of this building 22 feet. This building, I believe, was about 13 feet tall. All right, so there's my building. So now all I have to do is click on the side of the building. That's what Structure Genius is all about. You can click on the building, and you're going to see there's a right side and left side of this wall. So the left side is right here. I can change the color, add an image, or change a texture. I'm going to add an image, wall 1. So there's the first part of the building. Now this one, I'll click on that one. That's the right side. Image, wall 2. So now you can see our buildings can all of a sudden look like the buildings that were out there. I mean, when you look at this, and you turn around and look at this. Let me get the other one in that view there. You can see how we're really looking good. Looking good. Okay. I can also click on a wall. Let's add a floor so we don't see the roof of the building. We can even put doors on this thing. If we wanted to actually be able to drive in the building, we can put a door there. All I have to do is click on the wall, go add a door, and it's going to start being a door this size. And then all you do is just make the door wider, and you make it higher. And we'll either have the door in place, or we won't have the door in place. So there's the door not in place. So you can have it in place or not. And then this floor, it might be concrete. Let's go, let's give it a texture of concrete. So there's a concrete floor inside. And then if you had a vehicle in there, let's say there was a school, but you wanted to actually show the school bus in there. Go get your models, go get a school bus. And put the bus in there. So there's one with the bus actually in it, in the building. The other one is the picture on the door, but there's a bus in the building. Apparently this place works on big suspensions of trucks and stuff. So you could do that. So I'm going to open it up now to questions. Let me go through here and see what kind of questions we have here. Just hang on while I find the questions. Just a couple of questions. When importing a photo for a wall, do you have to scale it before you add it to the wall? The answer is no. If you've constructed your wall like I did, and I traced the building so I have the right size of the wall, and I entered the height properly. This building was 22 feet high. I entered the height properly. All I have to do is take a photo of that. Now, picture yourself standing in the road here, taking a picture of that. You want to make sure you get the whole wall, but you'll also get sky and road and whatever to the right or left. Then you import that photo to your computer, use your snipping tool, and snip out just the wall. And when you snip out just the wall, it's going to be sized properly to your building. And that looks like the only question I have so far. Any other questions? I'll hang around here for a little bit. Looks like we have about 12 attendees for this week's webinar. What we're trying to do is list the subject of each webinar so that we don't go all over the board at these webinars. Now, if anybody wants a particular webinar on a particular subject, just email me at mgreenfield@aras360.com, and I will make one of the future webinars on that subject. We will list usually about a month in advance what webinars we're doing on our website. So we just started doing this a few weeks ago, and we're actually making you register so we know who comes to it. There's still no charge for it. And we're just kind of track to see if these webinars are actually doing what we want them to do. And if they're not, then we're going to tweak them so they do. We want to be able to advance your skill and knowledge of the program and to help you out. And we're always looking for customer feedback. Okay, let's see. I got some more questions here. Let's see what we have here. Can you animate the travel of the suspect? Absolutely, I can. I didn't hear because, you know, there really was no evidence of that. We had the evidence is the officer's statements. The officer's statements were this officer right here. He said that the suspect came out the door and engaged him. He fired a round, which hit his police car. And then he fired back. And then there was, of course, the shell casing there shows that hole in the police car shows it. Photographs of that was taken. And then he said the officer ran around, and then he didn't see him anymore. And then he heard 3 rounds. Of course, that's by the time the suspect gets to right here, he sees the other officer. He goes and points the gun at the officer. The officer fires 3 rounds and strikes him actually 3 times. And that's where the suspect's gun landed and the suspect landed. So if I want to animate where the suspect went, all I have to do is go into the models library, get myself an animated person, and I might get, let's see, do I have a running guy? I do have a running guy somewhere. Right here, he's jogging. Let's say that he comes out here, and after he fires, he runs this way, and he runs over to here, and this is where he ends up getting shot right here. So whatever speed he runs at, let's say he runs at 10 miles an hour, because I think he's going to take off. And we're going to set that up. So now, if I play this animation, the officer, the exchange fires, then the guy takes off and he runs around the corner. And he's going to run right here, and then right there is when he's going to go down. And at that point, I'd probably put a body down there. If I had one, I'd put a body down there and position him the way he was positioned. And then as soon as this running guy gets there, I would make him be invisible so you don't see him. You just see the guy laying there. So you sure can do that. Next question is, do I have a library of past webinars? Yeah, we do. We do. We started recording these. I'm actually recording this one, and they're going to be on our website, probably in the training section. I have to look and see where they are, but they're either in the training section or the knowledge base or something like that. Past webinars will be there. That way, you know, if you can't make a webinar, then you can always go back and look at the previous ones or ones that you're interested in. The only drawback to that is you won't be able to ask a question. You can just watch it. Okay, there's a question about showing a quick inside scene. That's going to be the subject of another webinar. We'll do an interior scene, but it's going to be much the same way, except it'll be more measurements than Google Earth. We can't do an inside scene with Google Earth, but we would have a room or a building. We draw a floor plan, use Structure Genius. We do measurements, and we put in furniture, and models, and things like that. But that'll be a future webinar. Okay, we've got a question. Can you demonstrate a vehicle pulling up, stopping, and then backing up? ARAS. Yeah, I could do that. Vehicle, let's do it with this police car. Let's just say this police car pulls up, stops, and then backs up. So I'm going to put the police car, let's say he comes in right here. Let's add an animation path. He's going to come to right here. Let's see, right here, and then he's going to back up to his spot where he was. So it's 3 legs. I'll say 30 to 0, and then we're going to go 0 to 10. We'll back him up. And on this last segment, we're going to go in here, and we're going to just click the reverse button. That's all you got to do. Click the reverse button, and then this grip has to go behind the car. Okay, so now here comes the car, and the car is going to come in, it's going to stop, and then it's going to back up slowly because I set the speed for it to back up slowly. All you have to do is for that segment that you want it to back up, and I'll go get on my segments again, which is the second segment. You go over here to, I'll close this, open up Advanced Animation Properties and click the reverse button. Click the reverse button is all you have to do, and it makes the car go backwards. Okay, want to spin the vehicle around when I want it to back up. How do I stop that? Spin the vehicle around. Okay, and that, I think I answered that question. Before, when you first did it, this grip was out here. So this is what you're probably getting now. I'll demonstrate what's probably happening now for you. I would imagine that's what you're happening. So if you want that to stop, you have to grab the grip, and that's this green rotation grip. That needs to be back here, and just move it back to there. And then you can make this car do whatever kind of curve you want, and then it won't do that. Actually, I had to jerk a little bit at the what you have to do. I'll show you. If you don't want that to happen, just make this go right on top of the tire lines. And this one can move around. So watch. There you go. And we put it right back to our position where the police car ended up. Good. All these are great questions. Any other questions? How do you save the scene without the red lines? Okay, you're probably talking about the red lines for the animation paths. Okay? If you want to save the scenes with the red lines, if you don't want the animation paths there, then what you have to do is what I would do. First of all, if you're saving the scene, I have to ask a question about this. Are you talking about saving the animation without the animation pass, or are you talking about saving the diagram without the animation pass? If you're talking about saving the animation without the pass, when you record the animation, the paths don't show up. But to save the diagram, the paths will show up. So if you don't want the paths to show up, put the car on a different layer, put that animated car on a different layer, turn it off, and just go get the vehicle and put it at its point of rest, or put another vehicle where it started from, or however you want to put the vehicles. If you do that, the animation paths are not there. The animation path will show up on your diagram if you have an animated vehicle on a diagram. So just put the animated vehicle on a different layer, turn it off, and put a regular vehicle there on a different layer and turn it on. Okay, any other questions? Okay, if there are no more questions, that'll be the conclusion of today's webinar. Thank you very much for your attendance, and we'll see you next week. Have a good day.